Elon Musk was supposed to be a vanguard of personal freedom, a genius whose brilliance with rocket ships and electric cars would bring Twitter to space-age greatness. Instead, the microblogging platform that once enabled regular people to speak truth to power, the very powerful networking and organizing tool that helped to herald in the Arab Spring and the summer of racial justice protests, that social media network that made the world a little smaller is now on the brink of collapse, technologically, economically, and culturally.
1 year later.
MSNBC just fired Mehdi Hasan, the best show, hands down, right next to Rachel Maddow that they have. And I can tell you right now that the reason they did that was because he had no problem questioning the legitimacy of this attack on Gaza. That's crazy. I wonder if Israel was like, I wonder if Netanyahu was like, MSNBC, you need to get rid of that guy. I can't answer his questions.
Canceled my at Peacock subscription because at MSNBC canceled at Mehdi Hasan show.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about some big news. The biggest news I've talked about from MSNBC since race hustler, soul sister number one, Tiffany Cross, got fired from MSNBC for being an overt racist on national television. And you have another race hustler that has been fired from MSNBC, or at the very least, he's been fired from his own show. Okay, he's still employed by MSNBC, but he's been fired from his own show. Mehdi Hasan, okay, who MSNBC, again, has canceled his show in a major overhaul of the weekend programming for that network. Now, the left, they're upset, they're shocked, they're stunned by this happening, okay, because Mehdi Hasan, who's a debate me bro.
MSNBC journalist Mehdi Hasan is now calling for independent journalist Matt Taibbi to be jailed for lying under oath. Mehdi is saying that Matt Taibbi deliberately lied to Congress about certain organizations that were working together. But journalist Lee Fang pointed out in his new article that Mehdi's accusation is false and Matt Taibbi's journalism was actually correct. And if you read this, you see what Mehdi Hasan was really trying to do was nitpick the story so he could discredit Matt Taibbi. Probably because Taibbi revealed that the intelligence agencies were pressuring Twitter to ban the kind of people that Mehdi Hasan doesn't like. Trump supporters and people critical of the US proxy war in Ukraine. It's just insane calling for another journalist to be jailed and taking every opportunity to try and discredit his very good and very real piece of journalism. It just makes it so obvious that Mehdi's nothing but a political actor. He's just a Democratic spokesperson, pretending to be a journalist.
Shadi, as of right now, do you believe the 2024 election will be a free and fair election if black people are denied the right to vote, if there is racist gerrymandering continues, if election workers are threatened with death?
That black people have been, the vote has been taken away from them?
It's the first you've heard that black voters are being disenfranchised in America.
This is exaggerated rhetoric that it's raising the existential stakes. And what I would like each of us to do is to try to lower the temperature. You're not willing to do that.
Hold on, Shadi. Do you not think our democracy is under threat? This is a very simple question.
$50,000 obviously makes a big difference.
And then you accepted a Soros scholarship for $50,000 when you didn't need it.
Well, you know what the fact is, Mehdi, is $50,000 did make a big difference to me back then. And anybody who has a few $100,000 in the bank is going to take $50,000 without strings attached. Take the scholarship. But my question for you is, why on earth are you, as an intelligent person interested in politics, obsessing over a 24-year-old's $50,000 scholarship?
I'm interested in truth,
beneath you.
We have a country to fix. That you wear. And I'm interested in truth.
And Mehdi, that's why I released 20 years. Mehdi, that is why I released 20 years of tax records.
Yeah, this guy was one of their favorites, right? Even though they didn't actually watch him, and that's probably the reason why he got fired. But now they're crying bigotry against MSNBC, who's also a progressive woke outlet that cries bigotry over everything. They're crying bigotry against MSNBC, claiming that they're doing this because of Islamophobia. Take a look.
MSNBC has canceled Mehdi Hasan's show. Mehdi Hasan is one of the only prominent brown people on national TV who has been hypercritical of Biden's policy within the Gaza Strip and with Palestinian people. It reminds me of when Mark Lamont Hill was fired off of CNN in 2018 for showing support with Palestinian people. Now he works at Al Jazeera, but the point still stands. Mass media will not blink an eye before they crucify and fire a person of color who is only speaking out against an active genocide.
What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you? I told you over a month ago that MSNBC was engaging in all kinds of fuckery in order to suppress Muslim voices on their network. And would you look at that? They're canceling Mehdi Hasan's show. You think that's an accident? You think that's just because he's not getting viewers? No. As Semaphore reports, MSNBC is canceling outspoken opinion host Mehdi Hasan's weekend program and show on the streaming service Peacock. Two people familiar with the move, which MSNBC privately announced to staff Thursday morning, told Semaphore that Hasan will become an on-camera analyst and fill-in host. The network plans to expand host Ayman Mohyeddin's weekend program to 2 hours and replace Hasan's show. Over the past several years, Hasan became a cult favorite online for his tough interview style and impassioned monologue, but these never translated to rating successes on the weekends or during fill-in appearances on primetime shows. Bullshit. A lot of MSNBC shows, especially their weekend shows, have low ratings and they don't cancel them. I'm sorry, you think people were watching Alicia Menendez? Like, get the fuck out of here. She's got 3 viewers and one of them is her dad who's been indicted. They're only trying to cover their ass by extending Ayman Mohyeddin's show because they know that people are going to be like, you know what, there's a lot happening right now. We don't already have a lot of Muslim voices, so why are you canceling Mehdi Hasan's show?
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Hilarious to watch leftists accuse leftist outlet MSNBC, which is run by a black woman, by the way, of bigotry and hate, right? They did the exact same thing when Tiffany Cross got fired. They said it was because they're racist, right? They don't like black women, which, again, apparently their black woman woke CEO doesn't like other black women or hates black people or whatever, right? That's the reason why she was fired. And now with Mehdi Hasan, they're saying that, well, they're Islamophobic, right? And one of the arguments they're making for why Mehdi was fired has to do with his coverage of the Israel-Palestine situation. Now, there's another video that is floating around on the internet of Mehdi Hasan saying very heinous things about non-Muslims, okay? That, you know, I think personally is not the reason why he got fired, right? I think that is most likely not a part of the reason, but maybe it is, okay? But I do have a hunch in regards to why he got fired. I'm going to talk about it here in a little bit. It's the same reason most of these anchors get fired or their careers come to an end, okay? It's the same reason Tiffany Cross got fired. It's the same reason Don Lemon got fired. It's the same reason all these people get fired for the most part. But Cenk says MSNBC canceled Mehdi Hasan's show because, of course, they did. It's not just because he treats Muslims as real human beings. It's also because he actually challenges his guests, and that is the biggest hearsay in mainstream media. Access must be protected. Crystal Ball says, fired for challenging power. Disgusting as it is predictable. Yeah, so again, a lot of people are saying that it is segments like this in which Mehdi Hasan went back and forth with this Israeli official on what's going on over there that they said led to him getting fired. Take a look.
Let's talk about the A word. For years now, anyone accusing the state of Israel of being guilty of apartheid in its treatment of the Palestinians has immediately been condemned as an anti-Semite, an Israel hater, someone who doesn't understand what apartheid even is. Just this week, Germany's anti-Semitism czar said calling Israel an apartheid state is anti-Semitic. Here in America, the Anti-Defamation League says the apartheid label is inaccurate and offensive. And yet now, with a government in Israel that is demonstrably far-right and openly racist, increasing numbers of Israelis and American Jews are starting to use the A word. A new open letter signed by over 1,000 high-profile academics and activists from Israel and the United States says there cannot be democracy for Jews in Israel as long as Palestinians live under a regime of apartheid. But I have seen lots of children with my own lying eyes being pulled from the rubble.
Because they're the pictures Hamas wants you to see. Exactly
and also
my
because
point,
they're dead,
they're
Mark.
the pictures
also,
Hamas wants.
But they're also people
no,
that your government has killed. You accept that, right? You've killed children, or do you deny that?
No, I do not. I do not. I do not. First of all, you don't know how those people died, those children.
Oh, wow.
First of all, we don't want to see a single child killed.
Okay, here's my question for you, Mark. You say, I agree with you. I agree with you. We shouldn't blindly believe anything Hamas says. But why should we believe what your government says either? Your military spokesman on Monday pointed to an Arabic document in the basement of a Gaza hospital and claimed it was a Guardian list on which every terrorist writes his name. But that was false. It was just a calendar with the days of the week on it. Your colleague in the Prime Minister's office, Ophir Gendelman, posted behind-the-scenes footage from a Lebanese short film and claimed it was Palestinians in Gaza faking their own injuries. That tweet is still up a week later. That is endless disinformation from your government, is it not?
I disagree, and I think on the important issues, look, I'll give you an example, Mehdi. Originally, we estimated... No, I'm answering your question. Allow me to answer your question. I'm answering your question directly, if you'll allow me. We originally said in the atrocious Hamas attack on our people on October 7th, we had the number at 1,400 casualties, and now we've revised that down to 1,200 because we understood that we had overestimated. We made a mistake. There were actually bodies that were so badly burnt, we thought they were ours. In the end, apparently, they were Hamas terrorists. When we make a mistake, we admit it. Why does that give you permission? Why does that give you permission to accept Hamas's numbers? I don't understand.
I didn't ask about Hamas's numbers. I said to you that your military
spokesman... you were quoting to me before Hamas numbers, Mehdi. You were quoting to me Hamas's numbers.
Because the entire UN and the human rights community and the American intelligence community on Friday said they trust those numbers. But you're dodging my question, Mark.
I'm not sure that's true.
Why did your military spokesman on Monday point to a calendar in Arabic and say these are the names of terrorists on them? That's false. Can you accept that here and now?
I'm not aware of the incident.
Let's put up the image. We have the image. You have no comment.
I don't read Arabic. It doesn't help me. I have no comment. I'm not familiar with the incident.
Does your spokesman read Arabic?
Hang on, I have a question, Maddie. You're a journalist. Have you made a professional mistake ever? Not intentionally, but have you made a professional mistake?
Exactly, and I own up to it.
Have you made a
mistake?
So can
you own up to the mistake?
So if I've made mistakes, you've made mistakes, but there's a difference between making an honest mistake and between Hamas that deliberately exaggerates numbers to suit its propaganda purposes. There's a huge difference.
Yeah, so you see that, you hear that, okay? So Mehdi Hasan's, like, what, 3 or 4 or 5 supporters, right? Because he really doesn't have that many supporters, okay? And that's kind of the point of this video. Are basically claiming that, one, MSNBC is Islamophobic, right? They're firing him because of Islamophobia. They were accused of Islamophobia before because this is happening amid accusations that MSNBC had sidelined all its Muslim anchors, okay, over their Israel-Hamas coverage. Now, this comes as apparently MSNBC has been facing a rating slump, okay, a rating slump over their coverage of Israel and the Hamas war. Now, CNN and Fox News have gotten rating boosts, okay, so they've been covering the war and they've gotten ratings boosts from it, okay. MSNBC has seen a decline in ratings, and some people are speculating that they removed their Muslim anchors off air because they were basically driving people away, right? People did not want to watch their Muslim anchors talk about this conflict because we do know that, you know, they're probably going to have some bias, right? But there's bias on both sides, regardless, okay, to be quite honest with you. But again, that's the theory. And if leftists are saying that this is the theory, they may be in the ballpark, right? They might be in the ballpark in regards to why he got fired. Because if he got fired due to his coverage of the Israel-Palestine situation and the ratings were declining because of it, he didn't get fired because he covered the situation. He got fired because the ratings dropped, right? I mean, there's a difference. At the end of the day, these networks, what they care about more than anything is ratings. And if what you're talking about and the way that you're covering the situation is not driving viewership, it's actually turning people away from the network, then yeah, they're going to fire you over. And just looking at this guy's, his ratings, right, his demographic numbers, it looks like to me that is probably what happened. He probably turned off a large amount of his small audience, right, his minuscule audience. He only had 440,000 people watching him, okay, which in my opinion, I feel like I get that many viewers in a day. Now, me personally, I got a little YouTube channel, okay? I do probably, an hour's worth of content a day, maybe a little bit more. So maybe the same amount of time. I don't have any marketing. I don't have a major production behind me. I don't have a major company behind me. I'm not being propped up by the establishment in the media. And I get just as many, if not more views than Mehdi Hasan per day. Again, it's pretty sad, okay? Especially considering how from the demographic of 18 to 49, he only gets 13,000 viewers. And from 25 to 54, 26,000. So a vast majority of his audience are older Democrats, right? They're older Democrats who probably support Israel, right? So when you get up there and you start spewing a whole bunch of anti-Israel rhetoric, like overtly the way that these guys do, yeah, I mean, you're going to turn people off. People are going to click off, right? They're going to turn off your show, right? Same thing that happened with Tiffany Cross, right? This is why she got fired. Poor ratings. Okay, people weren't watching her show. Her ratings were a disaster. Again, she wasn't just saying openly racist things on air. That's part of the reason why nobody watched her show, because she was openly spewing racist, rhetoric on her show, on her airwaves, right? Specifically anti-white rhetoric, okay, which, again, you're alienating more than half the country when you do that, right? Ultimately, her ratings were low, okay? Because she spewed that rhetoric, her ratings declined. Again, same thing happening with Mehdi Hasan here, right? So let's actually read about this, because all of these liberals that are boohoo-whining and crying about Mehdi Hasan being canceled, they didn't watch his show, right? You didn't watch his show enough to save his job. So let's read here. MSNBC pulled a plug on lightning rod anchor Mehdi Hasan's weekend primetime talk show as part of a wider shakeup Thursday, with sources citing a sharp drop in ratings and uproar over his anti-Israel views. A source close to the left-leaning cable channel said the network is cutting costs like crazy and that the penny pinching was a good excuse to dump the British-born commentator. Quote, I think they thought Hasan's point of view was a little too out of the mainstream, if you know what I mean, a source with knowledge of the situation told the Post. MSNBC boss Rashida Jones on Thursday painted an entirely different reason for the decision, saying it was part of a plan to revamp ahead of next year's presidential election. Quote, as Decision 2024 ramps up, the show will provide thoughtful analysis and coverage on the state of our country from three trusted voices familiar to the MSNBC audience, MSNBC President Rashida Jones told staffers in a memo. Yeah, so again, I think that they're replacing him with Alicia Menendez, Simone Sanders, and Michael Steele, right? Two people who I think personally are less entertaining to watch than Mehdi Hasan, right? So I'm not sure if I'm buying into that. Okay, but again, ratings drive these decisions. I'm not sure who would watch the snores fest of Alicia Menendez, Simone Sanders, and Michael Steele. I'm not sure who will watch that, but again, you do have people who do watch it and they enjoy it. Now Hasan will serve as an on-camera analyst and fill-in host across MSNBC and Peacock, according to the online news site Semaphore, which was the first to report the move. MSNBC's weekend lineup will now include a 2-hour morning program titled The Weekend, featuring Alicia Menendez, Simone Sanders, Townsend, and Michael Steele. MSNBC is, quote, refocusing weekend efforts on the morning where they make more money, the source added. Yeah, I mean, this is all about money, right? It's always about the money. The show will air from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. beginning January 13th. A rep for MSNBC declined to comment on Thursday. The network denied a Semaphore report last month that it muzzled Hasan, Moyendin, and Velshi due to their pro-Palestine viewpoints. Hasan has hosted the Mehdi Hasan show on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. since being hired by MSNBC in 2021 after spending years at Qatar-backed Al Jazeera English, along with left-leaning publication The Intercept. Along with fellow anchors Ali Velshni and Aman Moyeldin, Hasan was lambasted for commentary in the immediate aftermath of Hamas's deadly terror attack in Israel on October 7th. Yeah, so, I mean, again, what you have to understand here is that a lot of these decisions are being driven by ratings, viewership. At the end of the day, people weren't watching them, so they dropped him, right? I don't think they cared too much about him being, pro-Palestine or whatever. But if being pro-Palestine means that people aren't watching your show, right? People turn off your show, then yeah, they're gonna cut you off. Now, if pro-Palestine means more views, right, then they're not gonna fire you, right? But again, nobody was watching the show. That's why he got fired. All these people that are upset should have been watching the show, right? They should have supported him when he was on the network and when he had a show, right? I mean, so the fact that you didn't support him, you didn't watch him, this is what happens when you don't watch them, when you don't support these people. It's so funny how these people on the left always boohoo, whine, and cry about supporting so-called minorities, but they don't support the minorities that are in positions that they say that minorities should be in. And then when they get fired, they want to boohoo, whine, and cry bigotry. And when you look at the numbers, when you look at the ratings, when you look at the money, you can see that these people aren't making money. They aren't making money for the network. So when you aren't making money for the network, this is what happens. You ultimately will get fired. That's just the reality of capitalism. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.